Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward.
What's up, guys? Uncle Interpret here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert to your own research. Today, I just wanted to talk about like how long it takes for Bitcoin to really macro bottom, and we'll look at some other macro bottoms that happened over the last few years in general, and kind of go from there. So, what I mean by macro bottom is when Bitcoin is coming out of a downtrend, um, a bearish overall trend, where we see lower highs and lower lows. So obviously, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that a bearish market structure means that you have lower highs and lower lows. And these can be very visible on the chart overall, where you have just lower highs, lower lows, and like this 2018 price action was more like lower highs and equal lows because the 6K level held for quite a long time. Um, and back when I had no idea what I was doing, and I arguably still have no idea what I'm doing either. Anyways, but I remember thinking this was like accumulation, uh, just because I thought this 6K level was holding multiple times. But in general, this is just like a bearish trend, obviously. Lower highs, equal lows. And we all know what happens next. Price nuked from 6K to 3K, and that was like the climax of the selling period at the end of 2018. And what happened next? We hit a macro bottom. A macro bottom takes a very long time to form for Bitcoin, where this one took several months from November all the way to April, and this was just a choppy consolidation period. What's important to note, um, after you see the big shakeout, from 6K to 3K, there was a lot of volatility right after where you see like, price whipsawing in both directions, high sell or high volume on both ends, and just lots of volatility. Now, um, what happened after that period is a calming period where there's very like thin moves. You see lots of green candles, you see low volatility, you see low volume. This is very normal in a consolidation period. And overall, this took several months for the macro bottom to form after the bearish trend. And what happened next, price went from 3K all the way up to 14, topped out, and then hit another bearish trend. This is 2019. This was again a bearish market trend. After it hit 14, it moved and it hit lower highs and lower lows. So you can just denote all of these too. I remember actually thinking that maybe, just maybe, this was almost going to hit a higher high. This move in late February 2020, and then I was looking for the next higher low. I was like, oh, okay, like I'm looking for a higher low after like 6K. I think it's going to go to like 8K or something like that. But we all know what happens next. We saw Bitcoin make a massive, disgusting move from 10K all the way down to 3,800. This was just a really, really nasty day. I remember, I think everybody remembers this day, where Bitcoin like went negative 50% over the course of like just a few days. And that type of market shakeout was insane for a lot of reasons. Um, and this was one of the few times the last few years that Bitcoin has had a V-shaped reversal. Uh, just because there's so much liquidity collected, so many people got shaken out, so many liquidations that day relative to the market, and obviously with the free money printing in 2020 with COVID, that just created a perfect storm for a total V-shaped reversal to the point where this recovered in just like really just a few weeks, which was absolutely insane to think about, given the context of the recovery and given the context of like the overall time that it took to recover. It took like just like a few months really. And not in the sense that like it took 2 months for prices to chop around like this for a while. It just took 2 months for price to do a vertical accumulation period where just like V-shaped up. This is highly unusual over the context of the last few years, and obviously, as I said, it took a perfect storm of events for this to actually happen. So what happened in 2020? We saw a long accumulation period where price just chopped around for several months, and that's why altcoins did so well actually, was because Bitcoin had so many periods where price just chopped around and really did nothing. And I think we all remember what happened after that. From the 10K, basically because Bitcoin accumulated for so long in 2020, Bitcoin went from 10K to 60K pretty much very, very fucking quick. Um, it had this insane run all throughout uh, basically late to mid 20 or late to early 2021. So 2020 to 2021, and obviously from that point we've had a very different type of cycle since May. Now, after the May crash, we saw that Bitcoin hit a bearish consolidation, or I'm sorry, a bearish market structure at um, arguably kind of like this mid-April point, where you see like it's all good up until this point. So we see high, low, higher high, and at this point, this is the scary part right here. Right around April 25th ish area, this hit a lower low compared to the March lows. And that's obviously a pretty scary situation, right? Where you see a lower low. And this right here was an even more scary situation where we hit this kind of lower high. So at this point, we have a bearish market structure, and it's very hard to actually contextualize this while it's happening because you're so bullish at this point that you have a hard time kind of saying, oh, like, this is just over, because you're so euphoric at this time that you're managing your emotions, and it's just difficult to even look at other alternatives. Similar to like right now, like we're in a bearish market structure right now, currently. It's hard to even contextualize and even envision a world where like we are going to be bullish and the bottom is in. It's just a matter of conquering your emotions and thinking about it from a more non-biased point of view. Anyways, that's a little bit of a rant. That's off topic, but after May, we hit a bearish market structure, and what happened after that? We hit a very long consolidation period, not very long, just a few months really, and price had a big liquidation run where we went from pretty much 60K to 30K pretty quickly. Not as quick as the March crash, of course, but pretty quick regardless. And then after that, we hit a consolidation period for about, I don't know, maybe like 2.5 months or so, from May, June, and July. And then we hit a bullish market structure. This bottom took for a few months in general, and then we hit a bullish market structure where price hit higher highs and higher lows. And obviously, since that time, the structure got broken again when we hit a lower low compared to these lows back in September. So this was the low that we established in September. Once we broke that, then clearly it's a bearish market structure at this time. And since that time, you can see the bearish market structure as well forming on lower time frame charts as well. It depends on what you denote as a high and a low, but this type of market structure that we've seen is much different than what we saw back in May. Um, in May, we just saw like this liquidation, consolidation, and then a move up. Here, we see like much more progressive, nasty, kind of slow grind down. This is a more traditional bear market that we've seen in general. Okay, so what am I trying to get at here? I'm trying to say that macro bottoms take a long time to form in Bitcoin's price history over the last few years. We basically need in my opinion, one final shakeout, and this could have been it actually. I'm not quite sure if this was the final shakeout where it went like basically 25% from the highs. Very similar to back in May where we saw like this one final negative 30% shakeout, and then price hit a lower high and then grinded back to the lows, and then we had a full recovery. Um, this could have been the final shakeout, but to me, I still believe that we are going to hit like maybe this lower 30Ks once again. Um, but as you can see over the last few months, last few years, Bitcoin has had periods where it needs a long reset, other than the March 2020 bottom, of course. That was just like a V-shaped bottom where we had unusual set of circumstances. Whereas Bitcoin right now, we are, in my opinion, just going to probably chop around. I think between 45 and 30K. I think that there's going to be deviations on both ends, but in my opinion, this is kind of like our trading range for the next few weeks. I still am of the opinion that we are going to return back to the lows at least once more. And I'm not sure how it's going to get there. Maybe we like nuke down. Maybe we like slowly grind down, similar to what we saw back in June. But the bottom line is that I think that Bitcoin takes a long time to have a macro bottom. I think that Bitcoin will take weeks or even months to kind of range for a bit. And it would be great to see a bottom between 30K and 45K. Now, with that said, I'm still cautious right now, and I still am of the opinion that price could certainly go to 28K. There's like a lot of support around that area. There's a lot of liquidity around that area. Um, and if macro takes a big dump too, or if like Russia pulls out the nukes, then I think that we are going to like see sub 28K levels. Like I would not be surprised at all to see like 25K or 24K. Like we'll see like a massive liquidation period. Um, but there are some arguments for there not being as many sellers left from this overall move. I think that that is an interesting argument, and obviously we know that once there are no more sellers, then like it won't take much liquidity to actually push price up in general. So I'm still of the opinion that we are going to revisit at a minimum around 33K at least one more time. Whether or not that's the bottom, I'm not sure, to be frank and honest with you. I still am open to the possibility of like 28K, certainly just watching that area. But I do think at a minimum it is going to return to 33K around that area at least once more. And as I said previously, I think it will take a long time for price to macro bottom. Now, when price does hit a relatively interesting like consolidation area and like people feel like it's relatively safe to trade altcoins again, I do believe that the altcoin bottom will be very strong. And if you viewed some of the charts back in June and July, you could really see that once Bitcoin found its like quote unquote safe space, like once it had like this awesome candle in late July and it just kept going, all the money flew back into altcoins very strongly, and the altcoins were led by AXS, Axie Infinity. So I think that you really need for a few things to happen before you consider it being a bottom. Number one, you need Bitcoin to probably come back to the lows at least once more, and for it to find a safe area to range at, or for people to think that there's going to be a safe maybe week or two or maybe even a month of okay price action or healthy price action for Bitcoin. After that time, you need to look for a leader. In this case, back in May and June and July, or July, it was more Axie Infinity, followed by Avalanche, Luna, Solana. We all remember what happened there. And so once Bitcoin, I think, is safe, and once you see a leader for altcoins, I think at that point you can really assume that the bottom, at least is in the short term, is in. But to me, I still believe that we still have a lot more chop to go. I still believe that we still have more ranging to go. Um, I think it's going to take a long time for this to overall macro bottom as it's shown in the past. And I think you just be patient in general. There will be good opportunities when Bitcoin kind of finds its um, safe area, but until that time, I'm not exactly sure. So kind of just waiting to see maybe where this next move goes. It wouldn't surprise me to see like the low mid 40Ks, followed by another move down. And I'm just going to play it level to level. So thanks guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend.